Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I'm here with the start of the 100 Days of Bible Promises. This is a book by Shanna Noel. You can see I went and took mine and had it coil bound. I did that at my local Office Max. It is not perfect, but it was only about $5, and now I can stuff this full of all kinds of chunky elements, and I don't have to worry about it not laying flat. So, take a look and see how I work in it this way, and you may want to give it a go and have yours coil bound also. So I'm working on day 2. I pulled out the homespun alphas from Illustrated Faith, some stamps and stencils from Tim Holtz. Here are some printable alphas from Illustrated Faith. I will link down below my video on how I resize those if you're interested on that. I did size them down to 2 sets of alphas per page. I also have the highlighters, and these are the printables that are in the 100 Days of Bible Promises printable section on illustratedfaith.com. I am going to play with some textured paste and color it with some distress ink. So lots of fun mixed media, and that's kind of what I'm going to do in this particular project. I'm not worried about covering things up. You have a lot of room to play, so don't feel like you have to do it how I'm doing it. Do it however you're comfortable with. You can use that blank area to journal, write out prayers, and some of my entries, I will do that. This one, I'm just getting a big bold title down and playing with some mixed media things. And so each day is going to be a little bit different how I attack it, but I'm excited to use up some products from my stash and use some mixed media techniques that I may not be as prone to using in my Bible journaling. So I'm excited to jump on in. For day 2, we were talking about don't be afraid. And so Shauna has several verses listed on there. I won't be talking so much about the verses in these process videos. I think that this project is going to be a very personal project for everybody. And so I'm just going to talk about the art part and just encourage you guys to do your own studying, do your own praying as you work through this if you are joining in with this project. So I'm stamping using the homespun alpha stamps, and instead of using ink, I colored it in with a black Neocolor 2 crayon. I just dip the tip of my crayon in my little water there and color it onto the stamp and then stamp. And you'll see here in a second, I let that sit on the page for a few seconds and let it soak into the page. That way, I get a really good impression this way, but it looks like it's watercolor and super messy. This did not bleed through these pages. They are definitely thicker than Bible paper, but they're not cardstock, so it'll be interesting to see what I find bleeds through and what doesn't. It'll be an adventure over these next 100 days. I did purchase this book myself, so I am not working in connection with DaySpring on this project, so I'm going to be using all kinds of products from all different places, and I'm also going to be really pushing to use up some products from my stash. So a little bit later in the video, I do use some products that are no longer available from DaySpring or Illustrated Faith, and sorry about that, but I really need to use up some of my stuff that's in my stash. So I would just encourage you to use something that is similar, or maybe it'll remind you that you have the same stamps or ephemera or whatever in your stash and pull it out and use it in this project. So here I have a set of butterfly stamps from Tim Holtz, and I'm just inking it up using some big brush markers. Head on over to my blog post. I will have a picture with some color matching for Neocolor 2s, markers, and Target paints that I've pulled out of my stash to kind of go with this project. These colors weren't a perfect match, but the ones on my blog post are a little bit better of a match. So, and the nice thing about this book is it really has a lot of different colors in each spread, and so kind of go wild and just play with it. I'm trying to pull in quite a bit of black because my Office Max only had the black option for the coil, and so that black coil is going to be in every single spread. So I'm going to try to pull in some black elements to help it kind of look cohesive and look like it belongs. So here I'm going to play with some texture paste. I don't play with this a whole lot in my Bible because it does cover up the text if you go over it, and it can be kind of chunky, so I thought it'd be fun to play with in here. So I just have an acrylic block off to the side. I smushed out some Tattered Rose Distress Oxide ink, and I'm using a palette knife to pull out some texture paste, and I'm going to color the texture paste with that ink. So it's going to be this really pale blush pink that matches the pink of that highlighter sticker that I used. and then you just want to very thinly apply it through your stencil. You don't want to overwork it in your stencil. That's when you'll have issues with it kind of mushing underneath the stencil and maybe not getting a clear impression. So you want to just go over it pretty quickly, 1 or 2 times just to smooth it out. I do go and make sure I pick up any excess. That way it's not too thick. And then I just pull the stencil straight off while it's still wet. So I'm working pretty quickly. You don't want to let the texture paste dry on your stencil or your block or your palette knife, anything like that. It becomes like cement and won't come off. So you want to work quickly and then make sure that you wash all of this with soap and water. I try to wipe down as much as I can with a baby wipe and then get it into some soap and water. So these stencils are awesome. They have all kinds of different designs on them and different textures, and they're great for just layering on some interest to these pages. So don't be afraid to cover up what the artwork Shanna already has on the page. Use that just as a foundation and just kind of go crazy and play with some mixed media type things. So you can see I didn't quite make enough texture paste up. You can't really put this back into the container once it's been colored, so I work with just a little bit at a time. It's easier to make more than to have too much and then I have to just waste it, throw it away. I guess you could put it in a container, but it tends to dry out like that. So I try to just make a little bit up at a time. And I'm trying to be careful to not cover up the verses and text from the book and just kind of keep it in the blank areas. But there are plenty of blank spaces to play in this book. So here's where I pulled out a super old stamp set from last year. This is from one of the devotional kits from Illustrated Faith. It is no longer available, but I really wanted to use the floral stamps to just add some more interest to the background. So sorry, I don't know of anybody that still carries this set, but you may have it in your stash, so pull it out and use it. And you'll see as I do my videos for this project, this is going to happen a lot where I pull out products that I can't link down below. So, but everything that is still available, there will be links down below this video as well as over on the corresponding blog posts. So you can check that out and pick up things that I use that's still available. So what I'm doing here is I'm dirtying up the stamp with an eraser, and that helps the ink from these markers stick on it a little bit better, and so you get a better impression. Check out my recent Tip Tuesday video where I talk all about big brush markers and different ways to use them and tips and tricks regarding using those in Bible journaling, but the same goes for any of your projects where you might want to use them. So I'm just using that to get a better impression. This particular stamp set comes with these itty bitty teeny little flower stamps, so I'm just kind of sprinkling those all over the place. Tie in some more of that black, and you can see I'm doing 1st and 2nd generation stamping. Off camera, I had dried the texture paste using my heat tool. You want to be careful because texture paste has a tendency to kind of bubble up if it gets too hot, but you want to make sure that it's completely dry before you do your stamping because it can ruin your stamps if it gets on there and you don't get it off right away. So now I'm taking some of the Illustrated Faith highlighter washi. I got mine off of Peachy Cheap. If you search Peachy Cheap on Instagram, they have daily deals. It's different every single day, and the deal is only good for that day. So about a week or so ago, they had this highlighter washi for a little bit cheaper than you can get it other places, but I will link where it's still available down below. And it's nice because I could highlight that prayer to help it stand out, and it's in colors that match the other Illustrated Faith colors. Here I have my Illustrated Faith watercolors, and I'm just going to add some black paint splatters. This paint set would be a great one to pick up with this project because the colors are going to correspond with the colors that are already in the book, so you don't really have to overthink what colors to use. And that is pretty much it for the entry. Super messy, super fun. I hope you'll join in with us. It's not too late. There's 100 days. We're only on day 2, so go ahead and grab it. I will link it down below where it's still available, and check out the description box for links to all the products mentioned. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.